mean you ain't seen Re-Animator? Reanimator, originally released in 1985, unrated, coming in at 105 minutes, classified as comedy, horror, and sci-fi, directed by Stuart Gordon, written by Dennis Paoli and William Norris with Stuart Gordon, starring Jeffrey Combs, Bruce Abbott, Barbara Compton, David Gale, and Robert Sampson.
Herbert, you're insane! Now what happened? I had to kill him!
He's dead? Not anymore.
Greetings, children of the screen, your friendly neighborhood nerd scum here once again, and I am joined by...
Bree.
Old Man Logan.
And welcome to another episode of What You Mean You Ain't Seen, where we took a look at Re-Animator. So, guys, what did y'all guys know about Re-Animator? Had you heard about it? Like, what was up?
No, we had like a 5-minute conversation about it once, and then I haven't heard anything else about it other than that.
Yeah, no, you brought that thing over here, and I was like, what's that about? And you're like, Reanimator.
It's Re-Animator,
Got the shovel and everything.
Yeah.
It's like,
Context?
Sure.
Yeah, which, like, obviously now, look at that, guys. Oh, yeah, that's my Herbert West action figure. It's fucking dope.
Yeah, it is pretty dope.
With whatever little bit that you knew about it, was this movie what you expected?
No. No.
No?
I was gonna say yes, but no. It's really not.
Fuck yeah, man. Like, you told me a brief description. I was like, I'm on board.
Yeah,
This sounds awesome.
Because I think I, like, told you about the visual pun of the head giving head.
Right.
And a couple other little moments like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember hearing about this movie a lot as a kid, but the first time, and thinking to myself, even though people were talking about it in, like, a comedic way, thinking to myself that this had to be a terrifying movie. Luckily, I'd already seen, like, the Evil Dead movies, so I was used to, like, a campy horror thing. It's, like, so weird, because it's based on an HP Lovecraft short story.
Yeah.
Which is, it has some moments of humor in it, but for the most part, it's just terrifying. So that was a real shock for me going into this film, like, realizing that it was, while there are some horrible moments here and there, some, like, horrific things with some really great makeup effects that, like, help sell the, like, of it.
Right.
In general, it's definitely more of kind of a comedy, a very dark comedy.
It's fun.
Yeah. I found myself laughing a lot, more than I thought I would.
Yeah. And, like, the premise of the movie is really cool, and when you tell people about it, you can always tell that they think it's kind of cool, but I think by having it be more of a comedic take on it, it opens the door to a far wider audience, even with, like, the amounts of gore and nudity and all that kind of stuff that it has. Like, it just... I think it makes it appeal to more people, which is why, like, it ended up having such a cult following, whereas if you'd done the same movie at the same period with the same effects and done it just straight, I still think there'd be a big following for it, but nowhere near as much as there is, because, especially with cult films, people just want insane shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this movie delivers that.
Yeah.
It really does.
He's taught.
Of course he's dead. The dosage was too large.
You killed him.
No, I did not. I gave him life.
Right on, so since it seems fairly clear that we all enjoyed the movie, let's go ahead and jump into our favorite things. So what was your favorite thing in Stuart Gordon's Re-Animator?
Okay, so there's a scene where, spoiler, Herbert cuts off someone's head and tries to place it in a platter, and it falls over, and he's like, huh, okay, so he replaces it, sets it down again, it falls over. He's like, huh, this is a real problem. And he looks over and he sees the little, it's like an ice pick on a flat thing, and he grabs it and he sticks it in, and he plunks the head right on top of it, and he's like, alright, cool, done. That's my absolute favorite part. I died.
It was weird, because normally when that comes up, I have to explain to people that, like, back in the day, that was an office tool that people would, like, put messages on and stuff like that. Because they're just like, what the fuck is that? Why is that there? Yeah. My little brother just assumed it was some part of the science lab. He's like, what do you use?
Yeah, I thought it was something for, like, either to hang something on or, like, to place stuff like that. Like, place an arm on or whatever.
But no, it's just for, like, notes and letters and stuff like that. Like,
golden.
Yeah, like, it's a much... Even at the time when this movie came out, I don't think it was something that was being used a whole lot anymore. Like, I think they'd kind of moved past that.
Yeah.
But they were still a thing that was out and about. But again, that was 1985, so, like...
Yeah.
It'd be funny now to have one and just see, like, a bunch of iPhones with notes on them.
Just the note page.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
just
all.
Like, I guess, like, two really big ones. Herbert's fantastic. Like, his rationale is,
Jeffrey Combs is fucking amazing in this movie.
So, like, every time, like, you're watching this, and I've never had a movie, like, where you really look at the mad scientist, and you're like, yes, yeah. Like, you know, like, you rationalize with, like, usually you're like, no, that guy's fucking crazy, and then he says things, and you're like, okay, yeah, no, like, well done, I get it, sure.
Which is why, as watching the movie, I was kind of sarcastically, kind of not sarcastically, just kept repeating, no, Herbert West is a very reasonable person.
Yes.
Which is really funny because, like, at the beginning of the movie, no. Like, even though he's giving reasonable explanations for things, it's like, no, he's a creepy fuck.
Yeah.
But as things in the movie get worse and worse...
Yeah, and ridiculous.
Eventually, the reality around him warps so much that he does become the reasonable person who knows how to handle the situation.
He makes sense. Well, even with, like, you know, like, he just killed the guy, and he's like, this is the perfect time for an experiment. It's like, no, like, if that's what you're trying to do, like, sure, I mean...
I guess.
Yeah.
Like...
That makes me sound insane, but I get
But no,
it.
it's the first time in the movie, though, where you're like, oh, that's fucked. But, like, I guess that makes sense.
Right.
And, like, Dan's just like, oh, fuck, I just got my girlfriend's dad killed.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe this will work. Because, like, if it doesn't... then, like, he's fucking dead. How much worse can it be?
Right.
And if it works, then maybe I'll still get some pussy. Like, yes, Herbert West, played by Jeffrey Combs, is fucking amazing.
Mr. West. You'll never get credit for my discovery. Who's going to believe a talking head? Get a job in a sideshow.
My favorite thing in the movie tends to be just how insane the fucking movie is. Like, the pure insanity. Like, there's so many things that I love from the movie that it makes it hard to choose a favorite thing outside of, like, you know, Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West.
Yeah.
But in general, all those things, when I think about them, in general, they're just the most insane things in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, things like the moment of Herbert just being like, Dan, excuse me, and he just, like, turns on the saw and, like, plunges it through home dude's chest, like, very nonchalantly, like, stuff like that, or, like, towards the end of the movie when the lobotomized zombie horde jump up, the fucking intestines come out and grab Herbert.
That was, like, as soon as I did that, I was like, what is this Lovecraftian
Yeah,
shit?
like,
exactly.
This is fucking crazy.
Yeah, and just like Dr. Hill walking around with his own severed head and like going down on some poor girl with his severed head.
Yeah, that was the first.
Like,
I wouldn't say that's the first time, but that was definitely one of the points where I was like, this just got like real creepy.
Yeah, and like a lot of the characters in this movie are kind of creepy.
Yeah.
You know, like a whole lot of them are, and like it really just plays into that tone of like the movie being funny and weird and dark and horrifying. And somehow this movie manages to be just absolutely fucking crazy town banana pants, but it works so well. Like, it's still a very well-made film. All the tones are crafted so well. They flow into one another and, like, progress in a way that makes you care about the characters and makes you invest in the movie, but it still can manage to be wacky and over the top and crazy and completely outside the realm of logic in any considerable way.
But also horrifying.
Yeah,
it has
because
some terrifying moments.
Right, because by the time it jumps the shark, so to speak, you're already invested.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, a reanimated shark, that'd be kind of cool. Next movie. Jeffrey Combs, you can still do this shit.
Call me.
You can still do this shit. By the way, I know I mentioned it earlier, but Jeffrey Combs is also the voice of the fucking Question in the Justice League animated series. He's also, like, he plays, like, I think 9 or 12 different fucking Star Trek characters. Like, in terms of nerd culture, like, Jeffrey Combs is a god that should be recognized much higher than he is right now, because he manages to take these, like, weird, obscure, like, goofball characters and, like, flesh them out in a way where they maintain all their ridiculousness, but they still have like a humanity that you can relate to and empathize with. And Herbert West is probably the best example of that because he is so far removed from the typical idea of humanity. He's very cold, he's very isolated, he's very methodical, he's not overly emotional, and when he is overly emotional, it's still weirdly like robotic. Like it doesn't seem like he's out of control emotionally.
No, it's like he's
ramped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll live.
Exactly.
Huh.
Like, oh yeah, Herbert West is a stone cold sociopath. Like there's no two ways about it. And as you continue to watch the movies, it becomes more and more clear as we go on. The second movie starts with them like in a civil war in Brazil. Like where they've gone volunteering as medical professionals so that they can continue the research on dead people who get killed by the fucking war.
Oh my god.
So yeah, Herbert West, stone cold sociopath, and Jeffrey Combs just knocks it out of the park. And like I said, he would probably be my favorite thing in the movie, but like half of why what I like so much about the craziness works is because of him.
Yeah.
Like you have a lot of other characters who start off really grounded, and he starts off somewhere right in the middle, which is like the perfect lead-in to how insane the movie's going to get.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, what's really great about that is he starts off as the weirdest thing in the movie, the most off-putting thing in the movie.
Right.
And about at the half point, he becomes the most rational, reasonable person, and you find yourself being like, no, you gotta do that. Oh shit, what? Did I?
Yeah, right.
It's
Fuck.
so unsettling.
Or like you start thinking like him, like in that moment when he goes up to Dan and he's like, "Oh, you're unharmed," and he's like, you see the disappointment, and you're like, "No, I knew you were gonna say that."
Yeah.
Like because we were all thinking it. Like,
Yeah.
damn, is he gonna reanimate him? Why am I rooting for that?
Right. Right on, guys. So, obviously this is an awesome movie that we really enjoyed, but as always, we come to the point of the show where I have to ask you, what did you fucking hate out of this movie? What did you want to bury and make sure it never gets reanimated? Or, you know, like, what wasn't great?
No, absolutely. What I want to see buried is the scene actually where he goes down under the head gives head.
Yeah?
Hated it. Oh my god. Oh, it made me so uncomfortable. Just the very thought of that is, I didn't like it. I didn't like it a lot at all. It was awful.
Some Cronenberg.
It was terrible. I was like this the whole time. I was like, oh, I can't believe what I'm watching. It was terrible.
I get, like, a lot of people don't like that scene, and I get it. Like, it is absolutely disgusting.
It's pretty jarring,
and,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it is definitely, like, it is probably the most, like, obscene thing in the movie.
Yeah,
you know? But at the same time, you have to think, it's 1985, and no one had ever done that before.
Fair enough.
Like, no one had ever used that visual pun in a movie. At least not as far as I or Stuart Gordon or anyone working on the movie is aware of.
Yeah.
Like, that had not been seen in a movie. And if you're going to make a batshit, balls to the wall, over the top, fucking insane movie,
Boy.
you might as well, like, swing for the fucking fences, I guess. Like, I at least appreciate the fact that, like, the scene pretty much ends as soon as it, like, actually start. Like, it's all about the tension of the anticipation.
Yeah.
Because, like, while I'm like, oh yeah, the head gives head, I don't actually think there's contact made.
Yeah, no.
Like, it gets stopped right before.
But
so
all the stuff leading up to it is like,
Yes.
like tensing the muscles up
Oh
until
yeah,
to
like
it. So
it
it's-
really builds the tension, and what's actually the reason why I give the scene a pass is because it actually does perform an extremely important function in the overall movie. Because what happens right after that, like what interrupts that moment? It's fucking Herbert West showing up to save the day.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, because what's happening is so horrible, they even get a music cue for Herbert, like the hero fucking arrives.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed in you. You steal the secret of life and death, and here you are trysting with the bubble-headed co-ed. You're not even a second-rate scientist.
Mr. West.
So it's part of that transformation of us starting to side with Herbert the same way Dan is, so that you can get, like, once you're empathizing with Herbert, you're empathizing with Dan, then whenever Dan gets to the point at the end of the movie that he gets to, then you can follow it.
Right.
But like, so yeah, it's that moment is,
or you expect it.
yes.
Almost.
So again, that moment being the pinnacle of craziness. If it wasn't that crazy and that disgusting, then the shift of like making us side with Herbert wouldn't work as well as it does.
Yeah.
So again, like when I figured that shit out, where I was like, oh, they weren't just doing it to be gross. Like this scene serves a fucking function in the actual narrative arc of the movie. I was like, okay, then like I guess I can laugh at it then.
I was gonna say that makes me want to give it a pass.
You know?
Also, it shows like the true mad scientist in the mix,
right?
Like
Because
you want to call Herbert a psychopath, and then you see that shit.
Exactly.
Right, which of course he's a psychopath, but like, the lesser of two evils, you know?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, I always nitpick effects, like we've talked about quite a few, especially with the TV shows like Flash and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't care for them, but man, like even when they're not good, like with the cat at the very beginning, the first one that he reanimates, like I still love it. Like they look like they're having fun. It's clearly shit, but it's so freaking funny.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean,
and it is a complaint I've heard about this movie is that the effects are really uneven.
Really?
Like some of the effects are fucking great and
Yeah.
they look very real, and then you have stuff like
all the head effects.
Yeah,
all of the head
all of
effects.
them
Like
look
I mean,
really
the
good.
timing with where they set them down to where they can do it, and when it's clearly a puppet, and like
Mind blowing.
it's
Yeah.
really good stuff. But at the same time, then you have the scene where you literally have like a stuffed dead cat strapped to Herbert's back, and it's just Jeffrey
Herbert's,
Combs
like,
throwing
freaking
himself
the fuck
around. And like the thing that I always try to point out, which you kind of hinted at when you were talking about it, is that like anytime you point out a bad effect in the movie, and then you're like, okay, but what is the purpose of that effect in this scene? And in that scene, like with the cat, it's like the purpose of that effect is like, one, to show that the cat is reanimated, yes, but it also has to serve the tone of the scene, and that's meant to be a comedic scene. The idea is they build up the tension so thick that then when you go in and it's hilarious, it makes it even funnier. So like
a proper joke.
Yeah, exactly. So having this fucking Muppet of a cat, of a dismembered, disfigured cat, like it actually sells the scene way better than if you had like an amazing realistic effect. And even like to the point of like them showing it so little, it's like obviously part of that's because the effect's not good enough to show it running around, but even then it plays into like the ridiculous and it's
like when
such...
he takes it and throws it against the wall.
Yeah,
or like when he
absolutely.
picks it up and it's
Yeah,
like
it's just...
it clearly looks like he's picking up a box.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's like this
boom,
thing and like sets
boom,
it down.
Yeah, like it's fantastic. And from that respect, like again, some of the effects, yes, they're not as good as others, but all of them serve the function of the scene they're in perfectly. So again, it's kind of hard to hate on it when it's like, yeah, it's a shitty effect, but if you look at it, they clearly knew it was a shitty effect, and they did it for the comedic effect of having something deliberately silly looking. So again, like I get what you're saying, like they're very clearly uneven, but it's hard to hate it. So my least favorite thing in the movie is something that I always give a pass to, but if I have to pick something, it's my least favorite thing. But it doesn't become a problem until there's a sequel, which is the fact that like literally the ending of this movie doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like, because there is a sequel, Herbert clearly doesn't die. They never explain how he doesn't die, you know? When we show up in the next movie, like, Home Chick's not alive, you know? Like, that clearly didn't work, but they kind of just give it a hand-wavy thing, and Herbert has her heart, you know? And they use that to build, like, a Frankenstein lover for him, using her heart as, like, a symbolic thing. Yeah, and then also, like, Dr. Hill's back in the sequel, so, like, I love
Wait, what?
Yeah, Dr. Hill, who, like, got his head crushed into, like, nothingness and then flung against a wall, is back in the sequel as well. And it's never really explained, so, while I love the ending of this movie, I think it's dope. I love, like, the army of zombie guys, I love, like, Herbert getting taken by the intestines, and then, like, even knowing he's going to die, throwing his work to Dan, because that's all that really matters, even if he fucking dies.
Yeah.
Like, which again gives you, like, this weird kind of, like, twisted, altruistic thing at Herbert's end right there. And
which
then
also, like, again, like, it shows, like, Dan's growth with the thing.
Yes.
Like, he used to be so insane, and, like, even when he was going with it, there was hesitation.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was, like, a pure symbolism of, like, Herbert's like, I trust you with this
oh yeah,
now.
he literally passes like
The gauntlet.
their version of the torch. You
Yeah.
know, he
Yeah.
passes it
Right.
on to his apprentice.
Yeah.
And like again, that so works with like then the actual ending of the scene with
Right.
Dan bringing her back, which is a fantastic ending. I love all of it. But in context of having like 2 movies that come after this,
Damn it.
yeah, because it's just like when we were watching it and Herbert gets killed, then I'm just like, he's fine.
Yeah.
You know, he's fine.
He said that, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I have to just like give it the same hand-wavy bullshit that I do when I watch like Batman versus Superman and Batman's just gunning down tons of people, just brutally murdering. I'm like, nah, he's fine.
Yeah,
People are like, the car just fucking exploded. Nah, he's fine. Batman knew how to make the explosion so that the guy would just get pushed to the side. He's
Right.
fine.
Right.
So yeah, my least favorite thing is just the fact that the ending doesn't really it doesn't really give you an opening for a sequel, and they were like, fuck it, we'll just do a sequel and not explain it.
Yeah.
So that's really, I guess, not something that I can hold against this movie, but like, it's a trilogy now, so like, it's very hard to separate it from
Almost
the
a
overall
quadrilogy.
thing.
Yeah.
Right? Almost a quadrilogy, but that's a story for another time. But yeah, so like, fucking, yeah, it doesn't really hold up in terms of the series, but it's a fantastic ending that works great for this movie. Right on, guys. So, any final thoughts on this before we close out?
Oh, me. It needs it needs a like there needs to be a zombie movie in this universe. It needs to happen.
Yeah, I'd be down for watching that. Like, if they did finally come back and do a 4th movie, it would be cool to basically have it be like... My main thing is, like, I don't know how you would have, like, an epidemic of it.
Yeah.
You know?
I was trying to play those things out there.
Yeah,
You
like,
know.
I don't know how you'd have an epidemic of it, but,
Well,
like...
but more like Hills being able to control like the will of it. Maybe not like a zombie apocalypse in the sense of a mass spread, but more of like a war.
Oh, yeah. Well, and again,
Like, where
that's
they-
kind of what we get in the second movie.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a little bit of that. Now,
Okay.
it would be interesting, like, if, like, the Reanimates figured out a way to start reanimating others, like, based on their own
Yeah.
bodily fluids or something like
Right,
that.
right.
But, yeah.
Or
It'd be a
putting it
lot
out
of...
in the food.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of groundwork. But, like, you know, that could be cool. Like, that shit starts happening, and then, like, basically they go and they get Herbert West out of prison or wherever he is to, like, try to help them figure out how to counteract it.
A cure.
Yeah, you know, but then, like, Herbert's being all shady because he doesn't want to counteract it. Like, he realizes he's created a new species.
Yeah.
Right.
And
You
there
know,
was a
literally
plant,
what he
Yeah.
wanted.
there was a plant that they worked at that made burgers that they sold in gas stations. And now we have Zombieland. Mad cow, mad hoof, mad zombie disease.
Okay, sure, why not? We can go that way.
Sure.
I mean, fuck, it's probably more likely to get made than any other Reanimator movie.
That's how they mass produce them.
You know, like, it's a cool idea, like, for the whole, like, zombie apocalypse-ish type thing, or, like, the war between them, but honestly, if they weren't going to do, like, another straight-up sequel, I wouldn't actually mind this movie being rebooted, like, in terms of doing it like the book. Because the book's set in, like, the Civil War, you know?
Okay, yeah.
And, like, it's a period piece, and, like, again, there is some humor there, some dark gallows humor type stuff, but it's much more straightforward, like, for HP at the time, it was like an updating of the Frankenstein story.
Yeah.
But it also gave him an idea, or, like, a way to, like, explore consciousness and other stuff like that. So, I really love that story. I highly recommend it to anybody out there. It is HP Lovecraft, so, like, the style of the writing makes it a little hard to read, and for some folks, you know, but I highly recommend it. It's fucking fantastic, and I would see either of those movies, honestly. If Jeffrey Combs is in it, I'm gonna go see it no matter fucking what. So, give us another fucking Reanimator movie, Jeffrey Combs and Stuart Gordon.
You pricks.
That's not nice. When I met Jeffrey Combs at Texas Frightmare, he was very, very polite.
Oh, nice.
He was an awesome dude.
Psychopaths usually are.
I was broke, so I couldn't get his autograph, but, like, I didn't even ask him. He probably would have just given it to me
Probably.
if I'd
Seems
asked
like a
him.
good dude.
Because he is dope. He did just sit there and talk to me for, like, 10 minutes, so...
Oh, sure, hell yeah, I
yeah,
asked him.
so that was cool, but, like, I didn't want to be, like, a mooch, you know?
Shout out.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. He's dope, and we really need another Reanimator movie.
True.
Look out.
So, would we recommend this movie?
Fuck
yeah.
Right on, guys. Thank you for joining us for another episode of What You Mean You Ain't Seen? Reanimator.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Right on, guys. So if you like this video, please leave a like and share it with some friends. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit that little bell so you can get updates on all the dope content we'll have coming out in the future. Furthermore, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, I'll have the links for that down in the description below. Right on, children of the screen. Once again, thank you very much, and I hope you all have a good one. Nerd Scum, out. Oh, fuck, guys. Music video. There's a fucking Reanimator music video from the
shit.
third movie.
Come on, boys and girls. Come a little closer. I'm the Reanimator. Come on. Reanimate your feet.